guys, it's Gage here. Welcome to you, Buck Dad. And today we got a special guest to talk about the game of the year. Minnesota Vikings fan 28. Welcome.
Thank you for bringing me on here. Oh man, this is I'm excited. I'm excited that you invited me on here. So
I had to. I was like, you know what? I gotta have a Vikings fan on here because I just need to know what, like during the game, what was your faults? Like the first half, the second half, because it's been like a up and down type of deal.
it was totally an up and down type of game. The first half was we had a good scripted drive, first drive, getting it to Justin Jefferson for a touchdown, and then things just started to go downhill in the first half, letting Devin Singletary run all over us, which surprisingly they stopped doing in the second half. And we let the Josh Allen and that offense just march all over that defense. I think they scored 24 points or something like that, and the offense could not get it moving. And at halftime, I really felt defeated and didn't have that much hope going into the second half, just because I've in my years of watching the Minnesota Vikings, when they're down, especially that much against a very good team, they usually don't have that fight in them to come back. And especially coming out of the second half, Kirk throwing an interception straight to the defender's hands, and then they go up 27-10. I totally lost faith in the Vikings to win that game. But then when we got the ball down 27-10, Dalvin Cook just runs for an 81-yard touchdown, and that sparked the team to get back into this game. Defense put in just clamp down, only allowing 6 points the rest of the game against Josh Allen, who looked healthy and threw a lot. And we made plays on defense, and we slowly inched our way back into it. And then the last 2 minutes were a blur. Were absolutely a blur. 4th and 18. Justin Jefferson with the catch of the year. Some may even say the catch of ever, best catch ever. I mean, it just magic. That magic happened, and we marched down the field, and then we get down to the goal line, to right on the edge of the goal line, and just it didn't go our way. And I'm like, well, we put up our best effort. We were this close, like an inch short. Kirk Cousins could not get it in. And I'm like, okay, it's over. And I was just getting ready to wrap it all in, when I was going live for the game, I was getting ready to type final 23-27, and then I see, and I look up and I see a scrimmage on the goal line. I'm like, what is happening? And a miracle happened. Josh Allen fumbled the ball, something I never, you don't expect to see. And not only did they fumble it, but we recovered it for a touchdown. And craziness. That was just absolute craziness. And then the defense managed to not allow them to score a touchdown and force them to only take a field goal to go to overtime. And then in overtime, more Justin Jefferson and getting us in field goal range. and then Patrick Peterson sealing it at the end of the day. It was absolutely bonkers of a game. One of the best Viking games ever. Second best Viking game ever, behind the Minneapolis Miracle, of course.
Man, it's a miracle. And actually almost happened. Case Keenum, Stephon Diggs almost played each other once again. And that would have been interesting. But I'm kind of glad Josh Allen came in because you guys
Mm-hmm.
were able to show we're real guys and we're not leaving anytime soon.
Absolutely. I At the start of the week, I sort of was hoping for Case Keenum only for the storyline, but usually I do want to play people at their best. So if Josh Allen, it was in good to go, he showed that he was good to go, and we now beat what a lot of people have been saying have been their Super Bowl favorites. So in their stadium, nonetheless. So I think now that we are for real, um, that was a big statement win, and now we just gotta keep on winning the rest of the way, because even though we have the second best record in the entire league, we still have to overcome the Philadelphia Eagles, who seem to can't lose a game, which that week 2 game does hurt a bit that we lost, but you know I think that was back then and there. We're a new team now ever since that week 2 Monday night game against Philadelphia. So I think going forward, um, if we were to meet in the playoffs, I think we would put up a better fight. Even if it was in Philadelphia, we would put up a better fight, win or lose. But I think we would have a fighting chance to win that and possibly go to the Super Bowl. So yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
that game, not only was it difficult just because the Bills are Super Bowl contenders, but the refs were
mm-hmm.
not giving you guys any leeway. And they even in the last play when you guys are at the end zone, they showed there's 12 players on the field. That should have been a penalty.
Right. There was 12. There was many things that happened during many bad ref calls during that. Well, I should say non-ref calls during those final 2 minutes. The 12 man in the box. Gabe Davis. They didn't review that completion. It should have been incomplete. Even they said after the game that should have been incomplete. So we don't go to overtime against the Buffalo Bills. But that's what you have to do. You have to overcome bad reffing, and if you can do that, I mean, even last week against Washington, for example, the refs literally uh, interfered with the game, running into one of our defenders and Curtis Samuel getting a touchdown. I mean, we've been overcoming these bad refereeing. So I think, since we can do that, I feel like, and also beat a great team at the same time, we can absolutely go all the way. Now, I don't like to,
Yeah, I
I
feel
get
that.
too. I've been through a lot of pain. Like, I'm having like almost like even better than 2017 confidence, because 2017 we had Case Keenum. I mean, he was like on his hot streak and all whatnot. I don't know. I just didn't feel confident. I mean, the offense back then wasn't nearly didn't nearly as good as now. Um, so I feel more confidence in that now. So that's why I'm having more confidence in this season to make the um, make the Super Bowl and even possibly win it. So
Yeah, and yeah, you guys seem like you have a more complete team even that year. And Sam
Mhm.
Darnold started out as a starter. He went down, and Case Keenum, that was very unexpected because everyone's like, "Who is this dude?"
Yeah, who is this dude? Exactly. And we're sort of in the same situation now, like in 2017. Yes, we don't have the number one defense, but we have a pretty good defense. A good defense. Well, when it comes a clutch defense, I would say it can be good. It can be good when it needs to be, especially at the end of the game. But we're sort of in the same situation, especially in the fact that Philadelphia is the number one seed, just like in 2017. And we are just we're just stacking up, and now we're stacking up some wins. And I think looking at the schedule, what I'm like Dallas next week, that's gonna be a tough game. But they lost to the Packers. But when I look at that, I mean, I also think the Packers just own the Dallas Cowboys. So that's what I in terms of that. But when I'm looking, we're gonna win the NFC. The NFC North has just been a cakewalk for us, just because of how bad the rest of the teams have been, and the Bears and the Lions and the Packers. So um, it's not. We know we're gonna win the North, and so we're just now focused on just getting that number one seed, because that would be very huge for us, because we US Bank Stadium is a real home field advantage. That crowd is absolutely insane. I mean, I will have experienced that in a couple of weeks. I'm going to go to the Thanksgiving game, actually, against the Patriots. So it's a real home field advantage, and that's what we're fighting for toward right now. But of course, winning division is first, and then getting the seed is after. But I feel like we're far enough ahead that we can start thinking about the number one seed.
Yeah, and the Vikings are probably the only team that really can overcome the Eagles because everyone's so far behind. Like the Eagles they're already 8-0, and
They're 8-0.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. It is crazy. The Eagles. I will say though that they have been playing very good. Their schedule has been soft, as a lot of people have pointed out, but they're still a very good team. They only can play who's in front of them. That's what I say for any team. You just you play who's in front of you, no matter how good or bad they are. I think Philadelphia, their next big challenge, if I'm really looking, I mean, is their own division, to be honest. Whether it's the Giants or the Cowboys, um, I think those are really going to be big tests to see how good Philadelphia is, because the only team that they really faced, they played the Cowboys earlier this season without Dak Prescott. So I don't know how to gauge that against Dallas. They do have a very good defense, but their offense back then without Dak Prescott um, just did enough to get by. Um, so I think we'll see how good Philadelphia is coming later in the year when they do have to face those teams. Um, so we'll see. As long as we keep doing what we do, and then hoping Eagles can slip up at some point. Um, that's gonna be interesting to see. So yeah,
Yeah, actually, they're actually playing tonight against the Commanders. I'm hoping they lose, but the
I
game
know
I think it's going to be a sneak is that Colts game next week because
the
they're
Colts. I think the Colts game could be a sneaky game as well, just like Kansas City lost against the Colts. The Colts are one of those just weird teams. They can beat anybody, but they can lose to anybody as well. That's just my opinion on the Indianapolis Colts. Like they and Matt. I mean, the Raiders. I mean, Josh McDaniels. not that good, but they made Matt Ryan ran all over the Raiders. So I don't know if that's more a testament to the Colts or how bad the Raiders are, but I think I'm just hoping the Eagles just can slip up at some point. When I see the Eagles on the road, they are a much different team than they are at home, which is why I keep emphasizing home field advantage is going to be a huge factor when it comes to the playoffs. So, but of course, I do like to also take it one game at a time as well, and when we do make the playoffs, just focus on each team, not just Philadelphia, because can't the goal is to get back to the NFC Championship game to hopefully maybe even get that revenge game from 5 years ago. But it's just one game at a time, and because I have a lot of respect for a lot of the other NFC teams, like the Niners, who we are projected to currently play, because that would be a tough playoff game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we could play the Cowboys in the playoffs. The Giants, who have emerged this season, and the Seahawks, who the Buccaneers beat last week, and of course you guys, the Buccaneers.
Oh yeah.
That I can possibly see that happening, just because of how things are shaped up right now. If things stay the way they are, you could be playing the Giants right now in the yes, because the NFC. I'm just like, the NFC South right now is a very winnable division right now.
Yes.
And I think that whoever comes out of the NFC South is more than likely going to be the 4th seed, maybe the 3rd seed. I don't know yet, just depending on what happens in the NFC West. So who knows? But you never know who you're going to be playing in the playoffs, because I think even though the Buccaneers are one game out in the division, it looks like if yesterday was proven to how they played yesterday, if they play that the rest of the way, they're going to win the division handily, and make it to the playoffs, and possibly win a playoff game, whether it is like the Giants, maybe the Cowboys, and I don't know about, and maybe the Niners, or maybe the Seahawks. I don't know. Those are the 4 teams that are looking like right now, depending on who makes it out of the NFC West, and whether the Giants or Cowboys will finish wherever they finish. So I think yeah. So Vikings and Buccaneers in the playoffs, I think, can be a likely thing, especially if the Buccaneers can bump up to the 3rd seed and we stay in the 2nd seed. Then I feel like it would be it would definitely be a high possibility that it would happen. So
Even though like the Buccaneers, they've been really rough. Really, the Rams game, that's when we started the energy. Tom Brady started taking over the plays. He started to get more involved in the offense this year. And once I keep in mind, Tom Brady over 20 years, he's been in the playoffs the most times. He's been there countless times.
He's won it. He's been to Super Bowl. I mean, in his first year in the NFC, he goes to Super Bowl and wins it. He wins the first Super Bowl at home, which we should have done some years back with Case Keenum. But that brings up some very harsh memories there. But Tom Brady made that history, being the first team to win at home in the Super Bowl, so that he did that. Um, and then last year could not complete the comeback against the Rams. But this year he does make that comeback against the Rams this year. So Buccaneers, in my opinion, are finding their groove, looking like to split away from to take off away from the rest of the NFC South now, and just see how far they can go in the playoffs at this point. Do I think the Buccaneers are a Super Bowl team? I need to see some more from the Buccaneers first. They beat the Rams, who have been, in my opinion, who have been struggling. But the Seahawks are legit, so they did that. So I will have to see some more from the Buccaneers to see how if I think they can make the Super Bowl for example. But the NFC, it's winnable. It hasn't been the strongest conference this year, overall. Overall, so it's not like you have the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. They're in the AFC, so anything's possible in the NFC, I guess. But I think Buccaneers can win maybe a playoff game or maybe two. But that's just my opinion. I don't know what your expectations are, if you do.
Honestly, my expectations haven't been the highest, especially after because I kind of thought we are just gonna dominate, honestly, because the weapons we got, Tom Brady coming back, and then it just kind of it kept going low.
Right.
My expectations kept getting lower and lower, but I see energy coming in, and Tom Brady obviously dealing with a lot of stuff in his personal life, but now he's starting
Mm-hmm.
to get his energy back, starting to take over the plays because that's been a struggle with Brian Leftwich. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, what I want to see after the bye week, I want us to coming off, getting rested. I want to see what we can do against Cleveland because it's really hard to do well after a bye week because you have a whole week
It is.
of practice, I would assume, and everything like that. And I'm just kind of going to see how we start the second half strong. That's what I'm hoping. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping for like a 10-win season. I could see that happening.
10-win team. That could possibly happen. I mean, still got to play the Saints again, which for some reason is always very tough for you. Even though the Saints are not playing well this season. But Buccaneers, they could manage 10 wins, even though I don't think they need 10 wins to win the division. I think nine would suffice to winning the division. But I think just all you have to do is win the division, and you'll be fine. And then when they say once you make the playoffs, nothing matters. Nothing matters. So, same with with the Vikings. It's same way. We can go 16-1 and then get bounced out the first round. Like, that's how the playoffs work. It doesn't, you can be as good as you're great record, but then to get bounced out immediately. So come playoff time, it's a different beast out there. So yeah.
It is, and it's like what I like to call it because I heard someone else said to me. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is true. The playoffs are a whole new season. You don't know what's going to happen. Even the Cowboys, they're usually a good season team, but when it comes to the playoffs, I haven't seen them won in a good bit.
Oh no. And I will say, if the Buccaneers play the Cowboys in the playoffs, I will give you a guarantee. Like, I feel like that, even though it's a tough opponent, I almost feel like it's a guaranteed win for the Buccaneers just because of how bad but Buccaneers. I mean the Buccaneers, not the Buccaneers. Oh my God, how about the Cowboys? Are not the Cowboy. I mean the Buccaneers haven't been are. I mean have been struggling a little bit, but they're fine in the group. But the Cowboys in the playoffs, they just can't find their groove. I mean they in the when it comes to playoffs, they just shut down. So I think it would be a guaranteed win. Almost well, there's no guaranteed wins,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you would have a very good shot of beating the Bucket. I mean the oh my God, I did it
You're
again.
good. The Dallas Cowboys.
I know. I very good job of being the Cowboys um in the playoffs if that were to happen. So that's why I say I think you guys can win a playoff game as long as it's like not what you're as long as you're not playing like the 49ers. I feel like that's always the one sneaky team that can beat teams in the playoffs, just like how they beat the Packers. They keep beating the Packers, um, and they beat the Cowboys last year. So if you play the Giants or the Cowboys, I think you have a good shot at winning that playoff game. And then after that, I don't know, but
Yeah, we'll see. Honestly, I'm kind of the exact same way. I think we can win the first round because I believe
mm-hmm,
Cowboys or Giants. I feel like we do well. Second,
mm-hmm,
then the divisional and the championship. That's one I'm like, okay. Hopefully, Tom can get something out of his hat. Hopefully he can
right,
do what he does.
right. And Tom has gone through a lot lately in his life, so he's. I mean, he's now. Well, now he's just focused on football now. So um, maybe we'll see if I mean he said he wanted to play until he's 45. Is this going to be his last season? I don't know. Do you think this is his last season?
Honestly, I think he's just going to play until he really can't no more because it's not like because his family situation isn't good no more, or he
Mm-hmm.
would still retire. At this point, I think he might even aim that 50. I think it's his last year in Tampa, but I could see
Mm-hmm.
him doing the Miami or the San Francisco 49ers next season.
Right. I could see that as well. I could see that as well. Man. Yeah, Tom Brady is it just doesn't go away. And I know probably before you became a Buccaneers fan, I don't know. I mean, I'm not speaking. Maybe it's more of a question. Before you became a Buccaneers fan, were you also like Tom Brady? Just like you're sick of Tom Brady, or you're just like I don't know.
Before I became a fan, I was
Yeah,
like, "Will this dude ever go away?" I was like, "Okay, there's no." I always thought, as just everyone else, like he can't go anymore after this year. He comes back.
hmm
He just seems like kryptonite. I honestly didn't really like Tom Brady because
hmm
yeah, no one really like because he just kept winning and winning. I was like, man, why don't you let the Vikings or someone win a Super Bowl? I don't know.
hmm And then it's sort of weird because he helps you win a Super Bowl, so that's you now have you have some conflicted feelings now,
Yeah.
or okay,
Um, I kind of just respect what he does. Like, I'm glad I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't like him if he was on that area team, but when he's on your team, you're like, okay, we got Tom Brady. We're doing well.
yeah, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that, and I hope Kirk can do the same for us. I know he's not as great as Tom Brady, but yeah, as long as he does enough and just keeps finding Jefferson, I'm fine with it. So I've sort of grown to appreciate Kirk Cousins a little bit more. I was definitely when he came in, I was definitely more of negative on it because I wanted results
Yeah.
immediately, especially since Case Keenum got us to the NFC Championship. You expect Kirk Cousins to
To like
get
bring you
you
the Super
over
Bowl or do the
to go
back-to-back
to
thing.
at least go to the Super Bowl. Um, and that didn't happen. And it took a lot of time. It took a lot of years, and it took a new coach, to be honest, to get us out of that. To get us out of that, um, and now we're just sailing away. And Kirk has evolved and into this Kirk Kirko Chains, or whatever. And something I never thought I would be saying, but I like the vibe. The Vikings now, they're now when we win away games, who get the chains
He's
for
never
wins.
gonna do it. He's like, yeah, let's go.
Let's go. I like that. Just like I'm trying to think of examples. The only example I could think about right away is like the Falcons in '98, their Dirty Bird dance, their Dirty Bird dance, for example, especially when they won against us in the championship game. Another painful one, but like they always had that celebration. I'm trying to think of like other celebrations off the top of my head. I can't think of right now, but it's just like a good, like when you have that, like those day, like weekly celebrations, like yeah, when you win, or it just
So
gels the team. And I absolutely love the vibe of this team. This team is fun. The Vikings are a fun team to watch. Have a lot of young players, but have some veterans that teach them, like Patrick Pearson, Harrison Smith, etc. So I absolutely love the vibe of this team. I love where this team is heading. So yeah, we're gonna have to pay Justin Jefferson in a couple years, but
he's worth it. The best receiver in the
he's
league.
he's worth it. He's worth it though. So we're getting ready for a run, and I can't wait to see how far we can go.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. You guys went through some shit over the past couple decades, and
Mm-hmm.
now with Kevin O'Connell and Quincy, the GM, like those guys, they build a culture. What the Vikings are looking for, like Mike Zimmer and Brooks Field, they're riding that line like
Oh.
old man. Now with Quincy and Kevin O'Connell, they're riding with style, with some youth, and
Mm-hmm.
they could ride that to the Super Bowl possibly.
Right. Right. Yeah. I like that. That's, yeah, just like the new culture really changing, how and just motivating the players. We're winning those close games now, so instead of losing those close games like last year. So yeah.
So before we head off, what is your all right? So before we end this, what is your predictions for the Vikings record?
My prediction for the Vikings record, I've thought about this. I don't like to get too confident. 16-1 can still happen, but we're sort of bound for a loss at some point. There might be a trap game, as people may say. So I think worst case scenario, we're looking at, for maybe, if we really fall, maybe 13-4 would be maybe worst case scenario at this point. But I'm more looking at maybe there's gonna be one trap game that just slips us up, and maybe we go 15-2 right now. But I'm looking at either 14-3 or 15-2. I normally do not like this with the Vikings, and I would lean more toward maybe a 13-4 or maybe even a 12-5. But I am gonna say either 14-3 or 15-2 is where I'm looking at right now, because like you could have a trap. I just feel like there's going to be a trap game at some point, whether it is next week against the Cowboys, or a trap game meaning like a team we should be, like the Lions, in Detroit, for example. So I'm counting for that. So right now I'm thinking maybe
Yeah, I agree with
four.
that. I think
Yeah,
I don't know why I have this record in my head, but I feel like it's gonna be 14-3. The Vikings go.
four, yeah, 14-3. I can't like be outright and confident to say 15-2 or even 16-1. Like there's still that part of me that has some doubt, that we're gonna probably drop a couple games, and we might not be in the race with Philadelphia for the number one seed. So I think stay if I'm thinking we're going to stay at number 2 seed, it's probably going to drop a couple games. So whether it's that whatever games those may be. So 14-3, that's my more solid prediction right now. So, but that is still a very good record. Even if we do end up the number 2 seed, 14-3, I will respect that as whether it is as a number 2 or number 1 seed. So that's sort of my prediction.
Yeah, and that's definitely a solid prediction. Like 14, 15 wins. I want to say 15 because I want the Vikings to get that number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not the biggest fan of the Eagles at all. Even though they're an NFC, I don't like them. I respect them because they're a good team, but I don't like them. So I'm like, fall Eagles fall.
Yeah, fall Eagles fall. It's not more. I do not. I mean, I don't like the Eagles as well. But it's more their fans than anything.
Yeah,
I just hate the Eagles fans. I remember that NFC Championship game. I had someone I knew that went to that game. They got beer cans thrown at them. And they have a jail in their stadium. It's just absolutely crazy. And that's why I don't want the a possible NFC championship game to be there. I just hate them so much. Not as much as the Packers, but they're definitely up there for me in terms of teams who I hate. So 15. I would love the 15. Miracle 16 go perfect the rest of the way, but
that would be awesome.
16 wins, I think then we 100% get into the number 1 seed. But I'll be content with 14 wins in a 2nd seed, because at the end of the day, just make the playoffs and you go from there. So that's my prediction. And your prediction for the Buccaneers?
10-7. I feel there's going to be 1 or 2 losses. It's going to be. I feel like it's going to be one of our rivals. They're going to get that surprise win on us. It could be Panthers or Falcons or someone like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see 2 more losses, but I think overall we're going to go 10-7. Tom Brady gets his groove on the second half. Then all our key pieces we signed all season come together.
Yeah. I'm also thinking maybe as 10-7, maybe 9-8.
Yeah,
Like, I see, like, I don't know. I think like the Niners might be a loss. You might lose one to a NFC South opponent, and then I'm looking at the schedule. Maybe the Bengals. So that's why I'm sort of maybe thinking
that's too good.
maybe 9-8. But I think even at 9-8, you should win the division. So, but that is sort of what I'm sort of leaning toward right now. If I'm giving like a more definite
Yeah,
one, I'm gonna probably, in terms of teams who you should beat, I think 10-7 would be a solid prediction. One more solid prediction right now, especially after how they played against Seattle yesterday. So
yeah, I would say, yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. I forgot we played his guys. 49ers, I feel like we could possibly win against them, but who knows because they have so many weapons. And then the
they
Bengals,
do.
they went to the Super Bowl last season, so that should
Mm-hmm.
tell what they are.
Right, right. I absolutely agree with that a lot. So good luck to your Buccaneers, and maybe in the playoffs. Buccaneers Vikings US Bank Stadium.
Championship game. That is my prediction. I told everyone to mark it.
Championship game.
I'm
Oh,
hoping.
that
I'm
means you
hoping.
have to. You would have to upset the Eagles in the divisional game then if we were to play in the championship game, because we're sort of locked into that number 2 seed,
Yeah.
at least number 2 at this point, and it would probably be you playing Philadelphia and then us playing whoever the 3 seed is in the divisional round, if that were to be the case. So if that's how that would probably have to work. in that scenario that you just proposed, because we would play the highest seed winner in the divisional round. So you would have to be the 4th seed for us to have any chance of us two meeting in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, it's the Eagles. Obviously, we beat them last year. They didn't really put a threat on. I'm surprised they get something in the playoffs last season, but that was a different Eagles team. This one is a lot more dangerous. They got AJ Brown. They just got stronger in defense, drafting. The Eagles are going to be dangerous, and like I said, Tom Brady. That's the only reason why I think we go deep is because he knows the playoffs. That's where he locks in.
You guys beat the Eagles in the playoffs last year. That was, of course, in Tampa Bay. So it's a much different Eagles team this season. So if you can beat them in Philadelphia, that'll be greatly appreciated, just because I would like an NFC Championship game at home and not like the last 3 we've been to, whether it's Philadelphia, New Orleans, or New York, even though technically New Jersey. That was back in 2000. I would like to get an NFC Championship game at home, and if it's against you, that would be great. So, anybody beat Philly.
Yeah, someone beat Philly because I don't. If anyone's going to, it's probably either going to have to be the Vikings or the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers could, they possibly could, but Jimmy Garoppolo is still a hindrance to that team, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they, yeah, and then I was just thinking about other teams. I don't know who, and then or maybe the Cowboys can beat the.
If they can have win the playoff game and not like.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that they need to win a playoff game before they can actually play the Eagles. So, maybe the Giants. I don't know, but then the Giants, depending on who they play,
Because they do
I
have
have
Daniel
no idea.
Jones.
So,
And I just don't really believe in that guy to win.
I'll just have to see what happens in the playoffs. So that's just
Yeah,
how I
still
feel.
a lot of football left. So right now, I'm just worried about the second half, seeing how the Buccaneers come out of the bye week. Do they come out strong or kind of sluggish? So that's what I'm kind of hoping to see. Or at least I'm hoping this team will start out strong. Luckily, we get to pass Deshaun Watson because he doesn't come back for until like week 12. So it's pretty nice. So,
yeah, you'll be fine against the Browns, in my opinion. But yeah.
Oh, week 13. Never mind, because I forgot. Our bye weeks. This week's week 11. So yeah, he hasn't come back to week 13. So we should be okay.
Mm-hmm. You'll be just fine. Oops, sorry. Phone. That was my phone. Oopsie. Okay.
Well, I guess we can call that a close. It was awesome having you on the show. Glad to kind of see the perspective of a Vikings fan, kind of like the whole season shaping out and the game of the year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I thank you for having me on, and talking about this team, and talking about my team, and talking about your team, and and how we're both on the up and up. One more than the other, but hopefully maybe you can join us. Yeah.
And hopefully join us in more of the win avenue, which I'm hoping.
Absolutely.
Luckily, we're past. We're 500 now, so we're at least getting up there. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, and check out Minnesota Vikings Fan 28 on YouTube. If you are a Vikings fan or you just love football, period, check out his channel. Some great stuff there. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like and subscribe, and I hope you buck that.